Okay, so here's what happens in Bleach.
Part 2.
Ichigo and his friends pass through the connecting world between Human World and Soul Society. The Soul Reaper military is divided into 13 squads. Each one has a captain in charge and a lieutenant below them. They all live in the center of Soul Society with the other nobility in a place called the Seirete. Surrounding that is the Rukongai, where the rest of the souls live. Ichigo and his friends land in West Rukongai. A gatekeeper blocks Ichigo from entering the Seirete. After a quick fight, the gatekeeper lets them through. However, one of the captains, Gin, shows up and repels them, and Orihime shows off her healing powers. Seeking a new way into the Seirete, Yoruichi brings the group to her friend Kukaku Shiba's house. Kukaku agrees to help, but she doesn't trust the group, so she wants to send her brother Ganju with. Ganju holds a grudge against Soul Reapers because his brother was killed by one, but he still agrees to help the group. Kukaku wants to shoot the group out of a cannon. They'll have to protect themselves using a ball of their own energy. The group forms up and makes their cannonball. They're fired out of the cannon just fine, but in the sky above the Seirete, the ball breaks apart and the group splits up. Ichigo and Ganju land together, Uryu and Orihime land together, Chad is by himself, and Yoruichi's by themselves. Ichigo and Ganju are met by 11 squad members Ikaku and Yumichika. They're able to win their fights, and Ikaku lets Ichigo know where Rukia is being held, and he warns Ichigo that he stands no chance against his captain. Ichigo and Ganju are being chased by a bunch of Soul Reapers. 4th Division member Hanataro is thrown at their feet. They try to take him hostage to escape, but the 11 squad members don't care. They all end up escaping anyway, and it turns out that Hanataro knows Rukia and wants to help. Eventually the group meets up with Renji again, who's actually the lieutenant for Squad 6. He and Ichigo have a fierce fight, but Ichigo is able to win. Renji has a flashback to his childhood with Rukia and begs Ichigo to save Rukia and his steed, because he knows that he's not strong enough to stand up to his captain Byakuya. Ichigo promises and passes out. Ganju and Hanataro carry him away. Lieutenants Kira and Hinamori tend to an unconscious Renji. Byakuya demands that Renji be imprisoned for failing. Gin promises that Renji will at least receive medical treatment. After everyone else has left, Hinamori's childhood friend, Captain Hitsugaya, shows up and warns her not to trust Gin. Ichigo wakes up in the sewers and Hanataro points out that a mask prevented a fatal blow from Renji during his fight. On her way to a lieutenant meeting the following morning, Hinamori finds her captain, Aizen, impaled on a wall. Some other lieutenants arrive, as well as Gin. Remembering Hitsugaya's warning, she accuses Gin and attacks him. Kira blocks the blow for his captain, and Hinamori and he fight until Hitsugaya shows up and stops them. Then he has them arrested for fighting. Hitsugaya warns Gin that if any harm comes to Hinamori, he'll regret it, and the two have a brief stare down. Lieutenant Rangiku visits Hinamori in jail. Hitsugaya found a letter addressed to Hinamori from Aizen, so Rangiku gives it to her. Elsewhere, Ichigo and his squad encounter Ikaku's captain, Zaraki. His energy is so massive that Hanataro and Ganju can barely stand, so they have to flee. Zaraki gives Ichigo a free attack, but Ichigo can't even scratch him. In another part of Soul Society, Chad is working his way through the 8th Division. He eventually encounters Captain Shunsui. They have a brief fight and Chad is completely outmatched. Shunsui's lieutenant Nanao is about to finish Chad off, but Shunsui has Chad arrested instead. Sensing Chad's defeat, Ichigo steals his resolve and is able to finally cut Zaraki. Zaraki then breaks Ichigo's Zanpakuto and turns to leave. Ichigo's Zanpakuto spirit appears and brings Ichigo to his inner world, where he has to fight a white version of himself. After improving his bond with Zangetsu, Ichigo stands in the real world and his energy is surging. Zangetsu says they can win because Zaraki has no link with his sword. Ichigo and Zaraki clash. Ichigo passes out, and soon after Zaraki also passes out. Zaraki's lieutenant, Yachiru, picks him up and carries him away. And then Yoruichi shows up. Ganju and Hanataro reach Rukia's cell, and Ganju realizes that Rukia is the one that killed his brother Kaien. Rukia confirms this and says that Ganju can take his revenge, but then everyone senses Byakuya's arrival. After saving Ichigo, Yoruichi informs him that the same mysterious mask as before saved his life in his fight against Zaraki. Yoruichi reveals her true human form to Ichigo and drops the knowledge that she and Urahara were formerly Soul Reapers. Ichigo, sensing Ganju and Hanataro being attacked by Byakuya, runs off to help. Byakuya injures Ganju, but is stopped from hurting Hanataro by Rukia's captain Ukitake. Ichigo arrives and he and Rukia talk. Ukitake points out that Ichigo looks a lot like Kaien. Byakuya and Ichigo are about to fight, but Yoruichi shows up and blocks Byakuya's attack. She knocks Ichigo out and tells Byakuya that she'll make Ichigo stronger than him in 3 days, then runs away. And that's part 2 of Bleach.